My portal is where the proactive work happens. This portal built itself organically. Every client and caseworker runs through the benefit navigator appears here. So over time, my portal becomes a living record of the work they're doing and the clients they've served. For a new user, it starts empty. For someone who's been using the tool for months, it's their full history, searchable and sortable. Search is flexible by design. A caseworker can search within their own clients or switch to search across the entire agency. That agency-wide search matters more than it sounds. A client walks in and their usual caseworker is out. Instead of starting from scratch, any staff member can pull up that client's record, see their full history, and pick right back up. No duplicates, no lost context, no starting over. At the top of the portal, each caseworker has their own personal dashboard. 4 tiles that function as an early warning system. Who's currently receiving benefits, who's eligible but not yet enrolled, when a client started receiving benefits, and when they applied. These aren't just metrics. They're the answer to who do I need to reach out to. Case manager dashboards are dynamic in the way that case managers can filter by benefits and tax credits. Given everything changing right now with HR1, this is how a caseworker stays proactive and identifies who's at risk before a benefit lapses, before the client even knows to call. Click into any client and you have the full picture, everything a caseworker needs, without navigating away. On the left, every plan that's ever been run for this client. Each one is timestamped, so you can see what was recommended, what changed, what was acted on, and right there is the button to create a new plan whenever circumstances shift. On the right, client details, demographics, primary language, population categories, and a full activity log showing you who touched this record and when. All of it is editable from this same view. And from this one view, a caseworker can do everything, like update the client status, run a scenario to model a change in income, view their current plan, or edit their information. Through Status Update, a case manager can quickly update the household status when a benefit is applied for, received, or when there are major changes in income or household composition. The Run Scenario tab is one of 2 different places to run a scenario and determine if a benefit clears exists or not. View Plan gives quick access to the most recent eligibility results and action plan. And the Edit button updates any demographic information entered when the tool was first used with the client. So, where does a new client enter the picture? Right here. The Add New Client button in the top right of the portal is the start of an intake. When a caseworker sits down with someone for the first time, this is where their relationship begins in the system. They enter the client's information, and from that moment, everything that happens, every plan run, every scenario modeled, every update made, lives in that client's record. Let's say a client just walked in. This is where we start. We'll enter his agency client ID and basic demographic information. Worth noting here, and you'll see this throughout the intake, we are not collecting any personal identifying information. No name, no social security number, just what we need to assess eligibility accurately and understand our impact across the clients we serve. Once created, he's in the portal, and from here, the intake begins. The intake typically takes 7 to 10 minutes with a client. It's been designed to ask the minimum number of questions needed to screen for every benefit and tax credit. Nothing extra, nothing redundant. As you'll see, the language is plain and each question comes with a help bubble if a caseworker or client needs more context. We start with the zip code. This determines which local benefits are on the table. Then age, which triggers dynamic questions. For younger clients, it may surface former foster youth benefits. Immigration status is one of the most important questions in the intake, and one of the most sensitive. The tool surfaces a note explaining exactly why we're asking, because eligibility varies by status, and for mixed status households, we can calculate the benefit value for each eligible member individually rather than excluding the whole household. We're not tying this to a name, a social, or any identifying record. It's collected purely to generate an accurate result. In this case, head of household is a U.S. citizen. After capturing the rest of the household's information, we get into entering the household's income. Income is flexible. The tool accepts any type of income and also any frequency. In this example, we have a household where they are being paid hourly, 17 an hour for 10 hours a week. You'll see that we have dynamic notices regarding HR1 changes and how that might affect the household. The intake also captures what the household is already receiving. This isn't just for context, it's functional. When we know which benefits a client has and when they started, the tool can flag upcoming renewals and policy changes that can affect them specifically. In this walkthrough, the head household receives CalFresh, CalWorks, and Medi-Cal. Intake then focuses on housing, utilities, and car ownership. Housing options in this dropdown were shaped by direct user feedback. Thorough enough to capture everything relevant for eligibility, careful enough to work with clients in a range of situations. It also asks about vehicle ownership. Car value is an asset question, relevant for eligibility thresholds and certain benefits. The tool offers ranges rather than an exact dollar amount, which keeps things simple and removes the guesswork. Towards the end of the intake, a few more questions are asked, like healthcare coverage for each household member, disability for the children, and out-of-pocket health and childcare expenses. And then finally, what the tax filing status was. Before generating the results, we get a summary page, a chance to review everything with the client, catch any typos, and confirm the information is current. Once ready, we can create a new result and plan. Based on the client intake, a unique action plan is generated. At the top of every action plan, the client gets a personalized headline, what they have today, what additional support they're likely eligible for but not yet receiving, and what tax credits are on the table, all in one view before we get into any details. The view toggles between monthly and annual, whatever framing is most useful for the conversation you're having with that client. For some, monthly is more concrete. For others, seeing the annual number is what makes it land. Scrolling down, here's where the detail lives. Every benefit the tool identified, with an eligibility assessment and a specific dollar value attached, not a range, not a guess, a calculated amount based on everything we just collected in the intake. Each benefit is labeled as cash or non-cash. Cash goes directly to the client, money in their hand. Non-cash is paid on their behalf, like a discount on utilities or a subsidy to a provider. That distinction matters when you're sitting with a client and helping them understand what these benefits actually mean day to day. For every benefit, a caseworker can take action right here. A plan now links directly to the application. And should a client or a case manager have a question about the benefit identified, by clicking on the title of that benefit, it returns them to the Benefit Information Hub, where case managers can walk the clients through any of the most common questions asked, like what documents somebody might need, and be able to translate it into a language that is best for them to understand. Apply later flags it for follow-up, or the client can decline, and we ask why. The last part is more important than it sounds. We're tracking those decisions, not just who's eligible, but what clients actually do with that information and why they sometimes don't pursue benefits they qualify for. That data informs the policy conversations we're able to have about access barriers, stigma, and administrative burden. Below the benefits, the plan breaks down tax credits, refundable and non-refundable, separately. For this household, EITC, Cal EITC, additional child tax credit, and young child tax credit, each with a dollar value. Refundable credits are especially significant. Those are dollars that come back to the client even if their tax liability is zero. For a family earning this little, that refund can be one of the largest single cash infusions they receive all year. The plan makes that visible. The plan also services dynamic notices based on who the client is. Veterans, foster youth, and other populations get callouts relevant to their specific situation. And for clients who are ready to apply, the plan includes practical information like local DPSS office locations to support the next step. At the bottom of the plan, the client sees a full breakdown of their current situation, income and every benefit they're already receiving, with the dates they started. This isn't just a summary for the caseworker. It's something the client can read and recognize. This is what their financial situation looks like. The full plan is exportable to PDF, so a caseworker can hand it to a client, share it with another provider, or save it to a case file. Everything on screen in a format they can take with them. And if circumstances change, like a change in work hours, a caseworker can run a scenario directly from here.